Ready to go? All right, here we go. So this is Grandpa Danielson's old guitar that Grace sent me a couple years ago, and I fixed it up with the help of my dad, and it sounded pretty good. So I'll play a song later, but it works, and we're pretty happy with it. So when Grace sent it to me, it was we had it hanging on the wall next to the piano because it was really more of sort of a conversation piece, and it wasn't really in playable condition. And so one night I came in and was kind of looking around and playing with it a little bit, and decided I wanted to fix it. I brought it into a guitar store when I first got it from Grace, and he told me it was, from the 50s or 60s, needed a really expensive, what's called a neck reset, where you take the neck all the way off and put it back on. And the guitar wasn't really worth a whole lot except for sentimental value, obviously, and so I didn't do anything with it. I just left it as is, and then, as I said, a few months ago, decided to take matters into my own hands, I guess. So when there was a bunch of things that were wrong with it, and it came out really, really good. So I'm really happy with it. But I'll just walk you through what was fixed, and then a little bit of the history of it, which we did some research online, and I can tell you about kind of what exactly it is. And there's some cool, or semi-cool stories along the way. So what it actually is, it's a guitar company called K-A-Y. The K Manufacturing Company, and I did some research online on the internet, and through the magic of the internet, there's a bunch of people, even in the last couple of years, talking about, discussing, having these exact same guitars. It's identifiable by this really unique headstock called a violin headstock. I've never seen any other guitar that has this headstock that looks like a violin. So that was one way to find out exactly what it was, and you can see people have the exact same guitar. Actually, there was a dealer in Rhode Island, of all places, that had a really nice version of this. I'll show you the picture. Here we go. And he said he got about $750 for it. It was in immaculate condition. And what do I have?
There you go.
And so he told me a little bit about it. And one of the clues to what it was the guy at the guitar store said it was from the 50s or 60s, but when I looked inside and was fooling around with it, there's a date stamp, which you probably won't be able to see. Clear as day, in the middle there, it says April 1938. I don't know if you're ever going to be able to see that, yeah. But, so April 1938, that's pretty cool. And actually, wartime and pre-war was a pretty famous era for guitar makers. But anyway, the story behind this is it's an arch-top guitar. You can see it's got sort of an arch to the top. It actually has an arch on the back as well. It was called an arch-top guitar. It has these F-holes, which are sort of, again, violin-like. And the K company was sort of a moderate-priced guitar company. This is really sort of a knockoff or an imitation of some of the fancier brands like Gibson or Gretsch, and it might have been sold at like a Montgomery Ward or a Sears or something like that. But it's a pretty nice guitar. The K company was going strong through the 50s and 60s. That's what it is. So we did the research on that, and then let's talk about what we had to fix. The first thing, these tuners had really pulled out of the screws from the tension from the string, so I had to re-drill all the holes from the tuners and get the tuners back in and build those up, and that came out pretty good. Some of the back had pulled off from the sides and was a big sort of gaping hole, so I pinched that in and glued it. The big issues were the neck, as I said. So what happened was this tension from the strings wants to pull the neck forward, and that's on all guitars. Pulls the neck forward because there's a lot of tension right here on the strings pulling it. And what happens is the back, where the heel is, this is called the heel, pulls away from where it's attached into the body. And so what I was trying to do was kind of pull it a little bit on my own and see if I could squeeze some glue in there and then pull it back. I wasn't expecting to do a major full neck reset, but it's one of those things, the more I sort of pushed it open to get some glue in there, the more the gaps that I found, and I ended up just honestly kind of accidentally just ripping the whole thing off. So I ripped the whole neck off, as I said, not on purpose, but I just did. And luckily the body was in decent enough shape that I could repair kind of where I had pulled it off. So then the neck was off, and we were going to put that back on, and we can tell you about that. The other major thing that was missing was the bridge. So the bridge is the wooden piece right here, and then what's now a bone is called a saddle. And it originally came with a Bakelite, this material, Bakelite saddle. And what was here originally when I got it from Grace was this Bakelite saddle propped up by 2 pennies on either side. The pennies were from 1972, so that must have been when it was propped up. And the wooden actual bridge part was gone. So this is probably the most difficult thing to fix. Is we bought a bridge online, and we worked on it a little bit with some of the equipment I have downstairs to shape it the right way. And through some creative clamping and gluing and temporary screwing, we got the saddle into the top. And then once we did that, we got this bone, the bridge into the top, and then from that we got this bone saddle. And we also replaced the nut with an antique bone nut. So those are the main, and then the neck. So put the neck back on. There's a dovetail joint in there. We put some epoxy on it. We clamped it really good. And tried to pull it back as straight as possible. It's still quite a bit curved, you won't be able to see, but it's there's a decent scoop in the middle from the neck just because it's very old, which limited a little bit how well we could get it to play, but it still plays pretty good. So let's see, what else? This is the pick guard, which goes on here. And we do have all the parts here, but I actually think it looks pretty cool not to have the pick guard on, because the wood, frankly, is really beautiful. It's laminated maple, top and back. And I brought in the guitar store to get it set up, to get everything adjusted correctly, the bone, nut, and saddle on each side to set up to the right height. And a bunch of the guys in the guitar shop thought it was really cool, and they just thought it was really pretty. Every time I walked into the store, I got stopped by somebody, either an employee or a customer, about, what is that? So anyway, it looks really cool. Kay 1938 arch top guitar with the F-holes and this really unique violin headstock. That's what it is. Alright, so here we go. So a few months ago I went over all the stuff that we did fixing up Grandpa's guitar, and now I'm going to play a couple songs. I did it at the time, but they didn't come out so great, so now this is basically a second take. It took me a while to get around to it. But in the meantime, I don't know if you noticed, but I did put the pick guard back on. You can see it right there, the black pick guard, which actually does look kind of cool back on. So I did do that, and got it hanging on the wall here. I got a little leather strap on it, just hanging from a nail on the wall right next to our antique piano, and looks really cool. So I take it down, just kind of fooling around. It actually keeps a really good tune. I was tuning it up right now, and it was spot on. So pretty happy with it. Just kind of playing around with it, and just kind of take it out for fun. And it sounds pretty good. So we're gonna play a couple songs. You can maybe get a feel for what it sounds like. That sounds kind of good. That's a little bluegrassy tune called Hold What You Got. All right, so you're going to do another song. This one's called More Pretty Girls Than One. It's in the key of C. It's an old-time tune, bluegrass tune from who knows when, the 40s or 30s maybe even. And it's in the key of C, as I said, and I don't remember a lot about Grandpa playing the guitar, but I do remember him saying he only played songs in C. I don't know why, but... So there you go, it sounds good. It looks great, it's fun to have, love having it, Grace. Hope we've done right by it, and it's hanging on our wall next to our old piano, and so it'll be there for years and years, and it's a good conversation piece for everybody coming in the house, and good way to remember Grandpa, and just playing old time songs on this just seems to make a lot of sense, and just a lot of fun. So there you go.